Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Ariana Ayu binti Arianto. My metric number is 2022-909-15 and I am from the A2323E class. Risks are the possibility of being harmed in a variety of ways. It can be a possibility of hazard, injury danger or sickness to workers and well-being at work, which may have substantial implications and affect the environment. Every organization should have hazard identification, risk assessment and hierarchy control to reduce the injury to the workers. Encik Zuki Abdullah, known as competent person, which is a person who capable of the standards, through training and experience to recognize the correct workplace hazards. Encik Zuki Abdullah is an employee at Tenaga Nasional Berhad, TNB, Machang. He is 43 years old and the position as Senior Administrative Assistant for Business Support Operation Department. He went to Tengku Muhammad Fahmi Petra National School and SMK Tengku Indra Petra. He chose to follow his path and continue studies at Kota Baru Vocational School for Electricity Department course. When working in TNB, he has achieved a lot of innovation competition and right now he is working almost 10 years at TNB Machang.
Alright, thank you Ariana Ayu for the explanation about TMB and competent person just now. So now I am Nur Anis Wada binti Muhammad Nasir. My metric number is 2022-987-851 and I will explain more about the higher analysis in TMB Machang in terms of hazard identification. First of all, hazard identification, commonly known as any sources of potential damage, harm or adverse health effect towards something or someone. So basically, what hazard could affect? It could affect the safety of society and cause damage to life at the same time, can cause damage to property and also to the environment. So let's move on to the first hazard identification at TMB. Working at height is something that had issue due to the highest number of accidents in the workplace. In TMB, they will be exposed to this kind of situation and mostly need to face the consequences such as distance fallen, nature of the landing surface and how they will land. For Tenaga Nasional Berhad, their worker always involved with head equipment and sometimes the safety equipment are not in secured way. If the workers are lack of skills or experience in delegating jobs in a professional manner, it will cause the workers sustain bodily injuries. Next, electric shock. It is the response to electric current passing through the human body and usually happen when electrical systems are not correctly conducted in keeping with design concern. When working at TMB, they will have training before they start working in certain department. It is because to avoid any mistake that could lead to injury to the internal organs and even to death. For electric shock, it would affect hands, feet, arms and legs because voltage as low as 50 volts can disrupt electrical communication between the brain and the muscles. For the electric burn, it's sometimes similar but it involves voltage that are synonym with higher voltage but might occur when domestic electricity supplies to if the current flow are higher compared to a few fractions of a second. Electricity emit heat and intense light can cause burn and the impact of that would lead to major surgery and are permanently disabling. There are a few classifications of electrical injuries such as flash injury, flame injuries, lightning injuries, and electrical injuries. Electrical burning is possible when a human approach and connected with faulty electrical wiring, which can eventually lead to short circuits. So, that's all from me. Nick Nurdini will explain another 3 hazards.
Assalamualaikum and good day with our beloved lecturer, Dr. Siti Nur Zahira Omar. My name is Nurdini binti Nikhood. My metric number is 2022793493. Now, I'm going to continue to explain the hazards in Tenaga Nasional Berhad Company, which is extreme temperature. Most of us neglected hot exposure as a job hazard. And occupational heat stress may be caused by higher temperature, low chemical tolerance, and wearness. High temperature normally lead to heat exhaustion, heat stroke, heat cramps, and heat rashes. How impact human productivity? Workers may feel stress, fatigue, dehydration, muscle pain, and other bad consequences too. The next hazard is changeable weather. Extreme weather and natural disasters affect the necessary infrastructure. Outdoor workers and emergency response personnel are more likely to be exposed to potential hazardous conditions. Water might lead to corrosion of electrical connection and causing a fire. For example, outdoor workers are in danger during the flood because they need to handle with wet appliances, wet electricity, and overhead power lines. The last hazard is inadequate wire and overloaded circuits. The common causes for this hazard is faulty outlets, old wiring, and switches. For example, the extension cord is plugged into the wrong appliances. For heavy-duty use, normally will consume more wattage than usual. It might lead to overloaded and causing a wildfire. Failure to adhere to an overloaded circuit can result in accidents, near misses, or fatalities. Poor alternatives of wire and electrical cord might cause power surges in working environment. To conclude, workers must take all the stated hazards seriously by adhering to the regulations and procedures. Now, I'm going to pass the presentation to the next presenter. Thank you.
Now, I will explain about risk assessment. Risk is defined in TMB as anything that has the potential to prevent the organizations from achieving its objective. Risk assessment therefore involves the identification and analysis of relevant risks and determining how the risk should be managed to achieve predetermined objective. The first risk is working at heights. Working at heights always involves the risk of a fall. A dangerous fall can occur even when completing routine tasks like going up a ladder to reach items up on a shelf. Working from heights when drowsy or tired makes a fall more likely. An overextended worker can struggle to maintain focus and allow their mind to wander from their work, which can cause them to make an error that could lead to a fall. Workers can experience anger, frustration, and other vexatious emotions while in the workplace. Being frustrated or angry while working at heights is extremely dangerous and increases the risk of a fall or incident. Similar to the effect of working while tired or in a rush, a frustrated worker at heights is more likely to make errors in judgment, lose focus, and make a mistake that can lead to a fall. Second, electric shocks. Behaving apprehensively anxiety stresses the body. Stress affects the body's nervous system, which is primarily made up of neurons that have an electrochemical property. When the body becomes overly stressed, the nervous system, which includes the brain, can act involuntarily and erratically. This involuntary and erratic behavior can cause sudden shocks like feelings in any one part or throughout the body. The electric shocks feeling anxiety system is a consequence of stress and how it adversely affects the body. Then, electric burn. There are three types of electrical burns. First, electrical burns which occur when a person touches electrical wiring or equipment that is used or maintained improperly. Second, arc burn, which occur when powerful electrical currents arc through the air, traveling from an area of high resistance to an area of low resistance. And third, thermal contact burns. This occurs when the electricity starts a fire, such as when electricity ignites an explosive mixtures of material in the air.
Extreme temperature. It happens when heat produced more than expected amount. Also, it can come from the heat dissipation that is broken and drain the heat. The impact of overheating is short circuit or sharp gap, continuance of global warming and cause transformer explosions, may be caused from a wrong design or manufacture, such as the lack of a proper heat dissipation system. Changeable weather. It can create many unexpected risks, such as spending long hours working outdoors in all types of weather are dangerous. High winds can cause equipment to the uses of machinery or equipment can endanger the lives of the workers. The high winds can cause the equipment become loose and can cause the falling of cranes because heavy rains and so on. Overloaded circuit. All of the electrical circuit have their own limited amount of electricity. Exceeding uses can cause circuit break to trip and shut off the entire circuit. Could lead to overheat and melt the wire insulation and cause fire.
Alright, so I will continue with the risk control managed by TMB. So, the hazard is everywhere, but we'll focus on the 6 hazards that frequently happen in TMB company. The first is working at height. Commonly, we know this activity is synonymous with the TMB, right? Therefore, working at height remains one of the biggest causes of occupational safety and major injuries. According to Encik Zuki, cases commonly involved is overreaching, overbalancing, and fall in the fragile surface. Therefore, the only method to control this risk is to do as much work at the ground. They need to install all the stuff at the ground and going out to the electric pole just to put it on. Okay. The next is some activity needs to bring other stuff at the top. So the control used by the TMB is they need to use cradle or ladders. Okay, if they are going to climbing to the pole and the main power station, cradle should be carefully selected to ensure they are suitable for the intended task. Also, when they use a ladder, they need to make sure the suitability of the ladder for the operation and operating condition under which it will be used, and the staff are being informed, instructed, also trained and supervised as necessary to be able to use the ladder safety. Alright, so we're moving to the next hazard, which is electric shock. This is the most frequently hazard happen. Not just electric shock that will bring death, but sometimes electric shock happen when your body suddenly shaking and the muscles pinch when you touch the electric current. First, TMB asks all the workers to control electric shock by use well-insulated cable. Using the appropriate cable can considerably reduce the risk of electrical accident in the workplace. After years of use, some cable insulation may wear out of break. Alright, so the second control used by TMB in order to minimize the electric shock is outfitted with the PPE rated for the appropriate voltage. This includes glove made of rubber, warm clothes, and ice protection. Any hole or worn patches in the insulation could compromise the safety, and the PPE should not be used. Next is the way to control electric burn proposed by TMB is protect cable with conduit. Any job site located outdoor or with many wires should run them through protective conduits to keep them organized and safe from hazard. These solutions are relatively inexpensive but can provide significant protection. When an employee suffers an electrical injury, it is important that coworker or manager acts fast. The employee should not be touched while contact with the electric source is maintained. If possible, the current should be stopped at the power source. Next, the TMB urges train employees on electrical safety. Means that the TMB will provide training from their staff. If everyone regularly work with the high voltage equipment, they may need a periodic training session that will help them to prevent potentially dangerous error and keep the worker as safe as possible. Okay, next is TMB also aware about the risk that if the burn victim is not breathing, CPR should be administered only by trained professional only. Burns should be cool with the covering that will not stick and should be loosely covered to prevent any infection. Next is the way to control extreme temperature and TMB. TMB usually work under direct sun, and we know that in a long time of period they will work under the sun. Thus, the control measure provided by TMB is the first step is to change the work rate, allowing self-regulation of labor and self-limitation of exposure to prevent symptoms. Additionally, TNB reschedule work to other day or restrict it to cooler time of the day. They organize a schedule for various persons to enter the central power. Means that they are going to change one worker to other worker. The next step is to inspect the area, which they may only enter within the certain time only. The only time to check are in the morning and after the 4 p.m. In addition, providing sunscreen and light protection gears as necessary, TNB take further measures to mitigate this threat. That's the most useful step using by TNB in order to control the extreme temperature, electric shock, electric burn, and also working at height.
Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Azamiti Zakaria. My metric number is 20227877343. I will talk about changeable weather. Climate change poses a severe threat to TNB employees. Even if it is rain and electric shock occur in any place, they are accountable for resolving this issue. The first stage is for them to wear an inner layer of clothing capable of absorbing and transporting moisture away from the body surface, followed by a shirt or sweater with insulting and moisture transporting characteristic. Finally, an outer layer that is waterproof, windproof, and durable is necessary. If they need to maintain power at the main substation, they must wear dry clothing and avoid touching the switch with damp hands. Lastly is inadequate wires. They contain high voltage and are capable of causing severe burn to employees. The first control we may observe is daily inspection of equipment wiring before its use. Workers will quickly replace damage of frayed electrical cords if they discover any damage. Know the location of and how to operate shut-off switches and circuit breaker panels in the event that faulty wiring in the building. In this case of a fire or electrocution, use the devices to shut off machinery. If working with one hand is safe, keep the other hand away from all conductive material. This measure minimizes the likelihood of an electrical current traveling to the chest cavity. All electric cords should have adequate isolation to prevent wire-to-wire contact. In laboratory, it is essential to inspect all cords prior to each use, as corrosive chemical or solvent might erode the isolation. Damaged cord must be repaired or removed from service immediately, particularly in damp locations such as cold room or near water supplier. For recommendation, TNB should have a structural storage on site, as well as the construction company should be aware of the expense of transferring any equipment that also include highly flammable substance and paint. TNB should also be aware of the condition appropriate for storage area and should keep an eye on the procedure while it is secure and protected. Aside from that, the TNB must also start taking aggressive steps and can decide to leave the workplace if any safe operation guidelines are violated by TNB occupational safety and health officer on premises. TNB must send a warning to the construction company if the rules of the Malaysian government are not pursued. To conclude, a safety plan is essential which contains specific action that lead in safe and healthy workplace. Companies should make sure that all staff are well aware of the primary actual problem. If there is any issue, they must notify the management team and file any required report. Individuals must acknowledge that they have any problem. Occupational safety and health should not ignore as a patient care issue. Workplace safety provides a safe and healthy work environment for all workers. Company can protect the productivity among all employees by maintaining safe workplace. Worker incident, for instance, is still a high chance in the manufacturing industry. Ergonomic risks, potential dangers are common in the construction sector. That's all from us. Thank you.